Tonight's global brief: clear, concise, and ahead of the curve. From markets to climate and tech, we scan reliable sources so you don't have to. Your world, briefing ready.
Hello and welcome to World News. I'm Eve, your anchor in our global newsroom. In the next minutes, we'll bring you verified headlines from geopolitics, business, and technology, with clear context and concise takeaways. You'll learn what happened, why it matters, and what to watch next, without noise or speculation. Stay with us as we start at the desk with today's top stories, then zoom in on the trends shaping tomorrow. Let's begin.
So, you've probably heard this idea before. Tax the super rich to help fight climate change. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? Well, in Switzerland, they're actually trying to do it. But the story here, it's not playing out like you might think. And here's the kicker. Right out of the gate, this thing looks like it's going to fail. And not just fail spectacularly. A recent poll shows a whopping 2/3 of voters are against it. That's a massive, massive margin. So what on earth is going on? Why?
Okay, so let's dig into that. We're going to unpack exactly why this plan is running into such a brick wall.
You know, on the surface, it seems so simple, doesn't it? Tax the rich, save the planet. But what's really happening in Switzerland reveals this incredibly deep conflict over what's actually best for the country. And to get it, we really need to get into the nitty-gritty of the plan.
All right, so let's break down the plan itself, because this isn't just some vague idea to tax the wealthy. Oh no, it's super specific.
They're calling it the inheritance climate tax. And here are the two things you absolutely need to know. One, it's a 50% tax. And two, it only kicks in on inherited fortunes over 50 million Swiss francs. And every single franc raised is supposed to go directly into fighting climate change. Now, that 50 million franc number, that is so important. To put in perspective for you, that's roughly 62 million US dollars. So let's be clear, we're not talking about your neighborhood doctor or a successful business owner. This is aimed squarely at the heirs of truly massive, multi-generational fortunes.
And the tax rate itself, wow, 50%. That is a huge chunk of any inheritance. It's designed to pull in some serious cash to fund those climate goals.
So, let's look at the numbers. Who are we talking about here? Well, it's estimated to affect only about 2,500 people. But get this, that small group controls a combined wealth of around 500 billion francs. The tax could bring in an extra 4 billion francs in revenue. And the big decision day for voters is coming up on November 30th. Okay, so that's the plan. Now, what's the argument for it? Well, the folks pushing this, mainly the youth wing of the Social Democrats, they're framing this whole thing as a matter of basic fairness, climate justice.
Their whole argument really boils down to one simple idea. The people who damage the environment the most should be the ones who pay the most to fix it. Makes sense on some level, right?
And to really drive this point home, the leader of the initiative, Miriam Hostemann, made this absolutely staggering claim. She said that the 10 richest families in Switzerland, just 10, have a carbon footprint equal to 90% of the rest of the population combined. I mean, just think about that for a second. That's a wild disparity. So for the supporters, the bottom line is this. Why should everyday people be on the hook for the climate costs of what they call the luxury consumption of the super rich? For them, this tax is all about leveling the playing field, rebalancing the scales. All right, but that's only one side of the coin. Now let's flip it over, because you have business leaders and the Swiss government itself sounding some pretty loud alarm bells. Their message? Economic caution. The number one fear here is something called capital flight. It's actually a pretty simple idea. Opponents are terrified that if this tax passes, Switzerland's wealthiest will just leave. They'll pack up their money, move to a country with lower taxes, and take all their investments and tax dollars with them. And you can really feel how intense this opposition is. I mean, one senior banker literally called the proposal a nuclear bomb for the Swiss economy. A nuclear bomb. That's not just opposition. That's a whole other level of panic. And it isn't just a few nervous bankers. The Swiss government itself has come out officially against this. The finance minister put it in no uncertain terms, saying it would greatly reduce Switzerland's attractiveness for the wealthy. Basically, they're worried about scaring away the money. And that really lays out the central fight here, doesn't it? On one side, you have this powerful moral argument for climate justice funded by the people at the very top. And on the other, you have this stark warning of economic doom, this fear that by trying to grab a bigger piece of the pie, you might just cause the whole pie to disappear. So when you peel it all back, you realize this vote isn't really just about taxes or climate policy. It's about something much, much bigger. It's a fundamental debate about what fairness even means in today's world.
So, on November 30th, Swiss voters are essentially choosing between two completely different stories. Story number one, is it fair to make the wealthiest pay for a crisis they've had a bigger hand in creating? Or story number two, is it fair to protect an economic system that, as its defenders say, attracts wealth and ultimately benefits everyone?
And that's the thing. This really brings us to a question that's so much bigger than just Switzerland. As the climate crisis gets more and more urgent, every society is going to have to ask itself this. How do you balance the desperate need for climate action with the very real desire for economic stability? It's a massive dilemma, and honestly, it's one we're all going to be grappling with sooner or later. Thanks for diving into this with me.
That's your briefing from World News. I'm Eve. Before we go, a quick recap. Key decisions in policy and markets, signals from tech and security, and the human angles behind the numbers. For more depth and verified updates, follow my channel World News Eve and enable notifications. We'll be back soon at this desk with clear facts and practical context you can use. Until then, stay informed and stay kind. Like my video, leave your comments, and help me bring news to everyone. From me to all of us, be happy.